Hello everyone, Doreen Pattergill here, Mindset Mentor. I am a Foster EFT practitioner, and this is one of the places I share inspiration on healing yourself and living an authentically expressed life. Now, Foster EFT and eutactics tapping is a modality which includes scientific research on the mechanics of the mind, neuroplasticity, neurolinguistic program, thought field therapy, open eye hypnosis, and tapping. I absolutely love it. It's amazing. And it's led me to really have a fascination with healing. So today I'd like to introduce Kim Guthrie from Brisbane. She is a wellness coach, and with an emphasis on workplace wellness programs too, and she also coaches privately, and she has her own amazing healing journey which she's come to share with us today. So Kim, and your business is called Working on Wellness. So Kim, how did your journey start? I believe it all began with Hashimoto's.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me here. And it's wonderful to be part of your group and your Connect community. So thank you. My journey actually started before Hashimoto's with a lot of stress. And I experienced it would have been maybe about 7 years of intense stress in two main areas of my life. And it was the diagnosis of Hashimoto's that actually had me feeling a little bit relieved, to be honest, because it was, there is a reason for why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. There was a lot of emotion, and my body had gone into a mode of protection. And I was normally a very strong individual I had 30 plus years in corporate and very strong and focused. And the last few years there were very emotional. I couldn't concentrate. I was not able to perform well in my job. And I had lost the ability to remember the things that I needed to remember as well as I used to.
Oh, wow. Now, Kim, you focus on the mind-body connection in your work as a coach, and also on nutrition. So can you give us a little picture of what the mind-body connection was doing in your manifestation of this disease?
For sure. One of the things that through my healing journey, I explored in detail the mind-body connection, and understanding that the throat is very much around communication. So if you were to look at the chakra system, that throat chakra is around communication. And what I was able to realize was that through my own self-exploration and gentle questioning, that I wasn't actually speaking my truth in my life. And when I say speaking my truth, I wasn't living authentically, and I wasn't speaking up for myself. I wasn't communicating that I actually wanted to live a different life than what I was living. And that communication was to myself. It wasn't necessarily to anybody else. And so I was in a role which wasn't really aligned to me and my life purpose. And that discovery came about through my healing journey. And when I was able to realize that I wasn't speaking authentically to myself, as in speaking up about what I really wanted to do with my life, my whole healing trajectory changed, and it improved so rapidly.
Wow. Now, you did mention to me, because I have spoken to Kim before, and I remember you saying to me that you made a decision that you didn't want to be on medication. And by the way, your whole speaking your truth, communication, the throat, that was me, because I also had Hashimoto's disease. So it's amazing the similarities there. But coming back to the decision you made, now I recently was doing a little bit of reading of Dr. Jeffrey Rediger's book, Cured, where he looks at what is it that made some people heal from really serious diseases. And one of the factors was they made a decision to heal. So how did that play a role for you?
And it just gives me goosebumps just thinking about it and just going back to the point. So when I first came out of the endocrinologist's room, I had no idea what he'd just said to me. I was so emotional and I just didn't comprehend what he'd said. I went and got medication and I took that, and it was probably at about the 4 to 6 week mark that I started to feel a little bit better. And then what I was able to identify was that there were some side effects of medication, of all medications, that potentially weren't explained to me clearly. So I did my own research. When I saw the side effects, and this was over a period of time that I discovered, like it wasn't just a one-day thing, I was still overwhelmed with everything. But once I discovered the side effects of the medication, I made that decision very clear at that point in time that I didn't want to be on the medication for life. What I had come to realize was that our body heals naturally on its own. Whilst we need to give it the right environment, it can heal on its own. So I likened it to the analogy of I cut my finger and my finger heals without me even thinking about it. So that to me helped me realize, well, hang on a second, our body can heal. So this is just something that's going on. This is feedback for me to make some changes in my life. This is just feedback. So it wasn't good or bad. I really changed the labeling. It wasn't good or bad, right or wrong. It was just feedback. Do I want to keep doing the same thing, or do I want to do something different? So at that point, I made a decision. I wanted to do something different. And so I went about taking action different to what I had in the past to lead me to getting to a place where I could stop taking the medication.
Wow, what a journey back to health and really taking back control. Because we would say in fast EFT, you were perfectly producing your reality. Absolutely. So what changes did you make?
So for me, I looked at it a very holistic view. I looked at it from the food as medicine component. So what foods were going to nourish me. I also explored which foods were not nourishing me, which were depleting me. So I removed those that were depleting, and I introduced foods that were nourishing, foods that were helpful for the thyroid, but then understanding the thyroid function. I did a lot of research around that to understand that it's not just the thyroid that's impacted or is the cause of the condition. So I looked at it, so as I say, food is medicine, but then I also looked at that mind-body connection, and I really explored the emotions that were sitting there. So for me, understanding that the thyroid hormones are converted in the gut and in the liver, there was, to me, an understanding and awareness that something was going on in the liver and also the gut. There was a period of my life, I was very intolerant. I was very short-tempered. I had no patience. And people may or may not know that that is an indication that the liver is struggling. When you get that anger and that impatience, it comes from the liver, where, you know, our symptoms of the body is the barometer. And so the symptoms that we're experiencing are just giving us a message, feedback again. So I shifted that. I also went into lifestyle changes as well. So I went about, instead of trying to push to do exercise, I actually listened to my body. And I had been a gym goer for many, many years. And so I had to give that up. And that was one of the hardest decisions I had to make, was I just couldn't utilize the membership. But what I did do was I took up yoga. I took up restorative practices. Now, in the past, I had been thinking, oh my gosh, yoga's way too slow for me. I was the one that would go to the gym and box with a personal trainer till I was almost flat on the floor. So I took up yoga, I took up walking in the sunshine. So I made some really significant lifestyle changes, which also included cleaning the water that I drink. It wasn't just tap water anymore. I installed a filtering system. I looked at my sleep. I looked at a whole bunch of different things that I was, ways in which I was living my life, and really made an impact. Detoxed everything, cleaned out the bathroom, looked at the foods, again, coming back to the foods, looked at any packet foods, just all went out. I went right back to whole foods. So it was a very holistic approach. Detoxed relationships, detoxing to me is not just about food. It's also about what we're watching, what we're hearing, who we're exposed to, where we're putting ourselves. So I really went through a lot of detoxing in that space as well.
Oh, that is so powerful. And as you say, such a holistic practice. Like, it's clearing all those stresses out, because those are all stresses: the food, the relationships, the thoughts, and just
adopted meditation as well,
and
as a daily
meditation,
practice. Yeah, totally.
giving your body a chance to heal. So at the moment, I'm actually running a tapping and meditation challenge. And I have lots of people who are learning to tap for the first time, and they're doing Deepak Chopra's meditation. And it's very exciting to watch their progress, and we're doing little tapping sessions along the way. And some people in my group and also in my community might be struggling with something really physical. What would your advice be to them? Where do they start? And what sort of mindset should they adopt from the beginning?
So I think the first place to start for me is about compassion of self. Be kind to ourselves. One of the things that I am hearing myself say repeatedly is, treat yourself, talk to yourself like you would somebody else's child. So not your own child, somebody else's child. We behave very differently when it's our own child versus somebody else's. But let's treat ourselves with kindness, the same kindness that and patience that we would give somebody else's child. One of the other things I would start with is, if we've got physical pain, physical discomfort, or there's a sensation that is unpleasant. So it is just a sensation. Pain is a sensation. It's an indicator to us. It's feedback again. And I would very much sit with that discomfort, that sensation, and I would really be kind to it. I would explore it with closed eyes in a quiet space. What are you trying to tell me? What color are you? What shape are you? What texture do you have? Do you have sharp edges? Do you have smooth edges? What is the intensity of heat, of temperature? And what message are you trying to give me?
Oh, wow. I just love that, because one of the questions we ask in a session, a tapping session with someone who has pain, is, if it had a voice, what would it be saying? What would this pain be saying? And it's amazing how the subconscious can bring those answers.
And if we don't get it the first time, it doesn't mean anything other than you need to keep trying. Yeah. I encourage people, please try again. This is a healing journey, and our wellness journey has no end.
And that's what I was going to... Yeah, I was going to ask you that next. What is Kim's definition of healing?
Right. And so I'm now medication free. There came a point for me where I was able to stop taking the medication. And whilst it was primarily my decision, I don't encourage anyone to do that without seeking medical advice. It was my decision to do that for me. And so for me now, my wellness journey has not ended, and it will not end until my last breath, because wellness is so important to me. I want to be able to have the energy. I want to be able to have the life that I love and that I want to live. And so for me, it's about maintaining those practices, getting better at them, exploring different meditation options, going back to ones that I'd tried a long time ago and bring them back in now, because I know more, I'm more aware, so I can explore them in a different way with a greater awareness. Whilst I may have stopped some practices, I know for me, I had explored tapping during my healing journey, and I had done some work with that. over the time that slipped away. But I'm going to bring that back because I've heard more about it lately. So it's again come back into my awareness. So I'll reintroduce that, and I'll keep going with the wellness path that I'm on. But I very much advocate and promote, this is my path and I'm doing it at my pace. I'm not comparing it to anybody else. This is my path. And I have this hashtag, my path, my pace. It's just for me. I'm not comparing.
I love that. It takes all the pressure off, because we put such a lot of pressure on ourselves.
Totally. Yeah. We want it all yesterday. But the reality is, so for me, for example, it wasn't an overnight occurrence of me being diagnosed with Hashimoto's. It was a sequence of events that led to that place. And so I need to honor that did actually happen in my life. And it's going to take me that long to then heal and find myself and get back on the path that for me brings me joy.
Oh yes, and that's what it's ultimately all about, is finding your joy. You know,
Finding
it
it.
can be in small things, it can be in big things. Some people have a definite life purpose, and others of us, like Elizabeth Gilbert, the writer, says, are like honeybees. We just flit from flower to flower, and we do a little bit here and a little bit there, and whatever it is, it's unique.
Totally. And I think this is one of the greatest gifts that we have, is our life purpose, to be honest, is to live a life that we love. And so in order to do that, for me, I went about a lot of self-exploration. And that self-exploration took me to places of understanding, what are my values? What are my skills? What are my strengths? What am I passionate about? What do I love? Going right back to those formative years of being a child, between, kind of 5 and 14, what was I doing? What was I loving? Because those formative years are actually so informative to us. Yeah. They give us so many clues as to what we're here for and what brings us joy.
Oh,
Go back to those times and actually look at what lit you up. Look at what got you excited. For me, it was cartwheels. I love doing cartwheels. And so now it's on my fun sheet. There's cartwheels there.
oh, you see, you can be so creative with this. And I'm so glad my group is going to get to see this, my tapping and meditation group, because that's one of the things we are working on, is our purpose and our values and what lights us up. And you've given them such a great clue there. Look back into your childhood, what lit you up.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Totally.
So Kim, I love your whole version of healing. It's so holistic, it's so gentle, it's so loving, it's so inspirational, your journey back to wellness, and that you say it's going on, it's continuing. So I'd like to thank you so much for sharing all this with us today. And where can people find you if they'd like to have a session with Kim Guthrie?
Look, I want to first say thank you so much for the opportunity. I just am delighted to be able to share the story, to be able to hopefully give someone a little bit of inspiration. There is hope. We can heal. That's a core fundamental message that I would like to share. So thank you for the opportunity. I'm very grateful. People can find me on Facebook under Working on Wellness with Kim Guthrie. And there's tips and tricks that I share there. And there's also links to details about the services that I provide.
Fantastic. Well, Kim, have a lovely afternoon. And thanks again for coming on.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Bye-bye now.
Bye for now.